Four Bars Rest is joined by Tom Devoren, who has had a very keen eye on what has been happening with the developments recently in Wales. Tom, your first reactions about the notification really that Wales has now got a national body to represent the interests of all bands at all levels within the Principality?
Well, I think as a conductor and a composer, a Welsh conductor and a composer more importantly actually, and someone who's been brought up in brass banding, I think it's a fantastic step. Iestyn's talked about lots of fantastic buzzwords: unification, the big picture, national identity, a strong national identity for Wales. What I think is going to be really, really interesting is to see how this national identity filters right the way down throughout every sphere of brass banding, from championship level right through to root youth level.
Talking about that filtering process, the work that band specifically, you work directly with BTM Band. You've had direct relationships of what good can come out of when you had connections with the Senedd and the type of funding that can come out. Tell us a little bit of examples of something that a good practice that has been happening in a community-based band.
Absolutely. Well, BTM was very, very lucky at the start of this year to have the process completed on its brand new band room. What that involved was restoring the old band room, regenerating it, making it into a facility for musical excellence for the local community, and that was done over the course of about 9 months through government funding. Straight of all, what that did is generate business in our local community. We used architects and builders from Bedwas and Caerphilly to carry out the work, and since the work has been completed, it's not only found a sustainable home for BTM Band for the duration of its future, but we've also managed to develop a youth band there who over the past 9 months has grown to between 30 and 40 members now, and will actually at Bury Port contest this weekend be giving its first contesting appearance.
Do you think then that something like this, the Brass Band Forum, can help bands such as yourselves, bands in North West Wales, South East Wales, whatever, to follow that type of blueprint that you were talking about? It may not quite work in the same way for bands, but it gives those within the community to put something back into the community, but still making sure that the bands themselves grow in strength.
Absolutely. Well, BTM, I'm very lucky to be there. They've always had a fantastic commitment to investing in youth, right back from their old days when the Next Generation, as they were registered in the fourth section. But really, the founding of our new youth band has been inspired by bands like City of Cardiff and like Goodwick over in West Wales, who through their own hard work have managed to really construct what is a self-sustaining band atmosphere, which I think is really, really fantastic. And I think what the Brass Band Forum Wales can achieve is examining these processes, see how these successful youth bands are being built, see how bands have managed to create their own player bases, because that is a very real problem at the moment. I don't know a band right from the very, very top to the very bottom that's not struggling to fill out their senior bands. We need to look at how bands are becoming sustainable and find a model that can be rolled out across Welsh banding.
You're talking in effect on this sharing cooperation, again on a slightly different tack. What was interesting from what Iestyn was saying, that attitude seems to be prevalent also within the contest promoters, also with the band organisers themselves, etc., and between the associations. There seems to be a very positive vibe with regards to that. Do you think that's going to work for, a band in North Wales as well as a band in West Wales and one in South East Wales?
I ideally hope so. What interests me about what Iestyn has had to say is it's not just about individual bands and organisations. There are all sorts of people who are on the fringe of banding, and one thing I believe in passionately is encouraging composers and conductors from Wales, for example. I came in to conduct in BTM after my career playing the tuba finished. I was a tuba player and I had a performance-related injury. Now, it was only through my personal connections. I was really fortunate to have some fantastic personal support through some people who are friends now in Nigel Seaman and Philip Harper. They helped me hone my skills as a conductor and gave me opportunities as a composer, which allowed me to continue in the brass band world. Now, I'm sure that there are a lot of young composers, young conductors in Wales today that are not getting the support that they need, and the creation of a unified brass band forum whereby local championship section bands have a sense of responsibility to bring on bands around them. I think that's a really, really positive step.
Those are like exemplars, centres of excellence in effect, and everybody's interconnected. Again,
Absolutely.
There's a lot of examples of individual excellence in Wales, and luckily we've got the connection with the Royal Welsh College down in Cardiff, and there is also other organisations. You talked about the conductors, you talked about composers, etc. And you feel now that the forum gives the opportunity for those to become interconnected, and as you say, working together for the benefit of Welsh band, working with one voice.
Absolutely. One voice, one national identity throughout every sphere of banding, whether it's as a player, a large-scale organisation, a composer or a conductor or a contesting promoter. At the end of the day, like Iestyn says, when it comes to our next contest, I will be fiercely competitive, and I will be willing my band to do its very, very, very best. However, when we're preparing for those contests, when we're in concert, I know that there are ways in which my band can be beneficial to other bands around us, and I think that's something that we have a responsibility to do.
And finally then, are you encouraged by what hopefully will happen for Welsh Band in the future? And a strong Welsh banding movement then, as you say, can connect with globally to the likes of Norway, where they've got great practice, and even further afield, both to England if we wish to, even to Australia, New Zealand, etc. Good not only for Wales but good for the banding movement as a whole.
Absolutely, and we're fortunate in Wales to have Cory Band as a part of the Welsh best banding scene. They are without a doubt the best band in the world at the moment, and I think what we need to do is assess our practices across the board and get our levels of practice up to that standard, equal with the standard of musical excellence that Cory Band puts out. Wales is aspirational at the moment with Cory in terms of technical ability in brass bands, and I'm sure that with Iestyn at the helm of this new forum, we can get there in terms of our standards as well.
Well, Tom, many thanks for joining 4 Bars Rest. It seems to be an exciting time for Welsh banding, and hopefully as well we can hear back from you in the near future to find a little bit about the process that is actually occurring, filtering down, as we said right at the beginning, down at the very grassroots of Welsh banding. Many thanks indeed.
Pleasure.